morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I'm here this morning not only with David, but with special guests Batya and Chaim Solomon that we'll give a proper introduction to as well. Today we are talking about understanding emotions, and you know, we pick these topics, or the topics pick us according to the energy of the week. So every week, in order to prepare for the show, David and I go over the Kabbalistic text, mainly the Zohar, in order to hone in on what is going to be the most relevant and practical wisdom and tools to share with our audience. So I don't know, maybe 2 months, 6 or 8 weeks ago, we put this topic on the docket without even realizing how personally appropriate it would be for us. We actually didn't do a show last week because really in honor of the elevation of the soul of our teacher, Karen Berg. And I can tell you it was by far the most emotional week and continues to be an emotional week for myself. I know that I speak for my colleagues here as well. We spent the week together sharing stories, comforting one another, and connecting to the greatness of Karen's soul. I think a few weeks ago when we looked at the topics, we had a certain plan, and I feel like what we've been through in the last week and a half is definitely adjusted our sails in a different way, and hopefully that's going to make today's show even more important, more relevant, more relatable. So I want to introduce our guests, Batya and Chaim Solomon. They are teachers at the Kabbalah Center. I guess we're all teachers at the Kabbalah Center now, but they are here visiting in honor of the aforementioned, and we got to nail them down for a few episodes, and couldn't be more grateful to have them here with us this week. They represent not the signs of Pisces, as we always represent on our show, well-represented Pisces. This week we have the influence of other signs, and we're very grateful to have you. I don't know if you guys want to pitch in and share, the process that we've been going through and the revelations of the last couple weeks. I want to say, what brings you to LA? And maybe we can start there.
Well, it's, as you were saying, it's the speaking about our teacher Karen and sort of telling memories. And interesting, as you were saying that in hindsight, we're in the year 2020, and everybody had talked about foresight and seeing and perfect vision, etc. And it's always easier to see after the fact. It's hard when you're living with Karen for so many years and the Rav to really see the big picture. And now as you start to hear the stories from all the other teachers, and you look back on your own experience with them, and you see, well, this dot, and the connecting the dots. And it was just extremely very powerful to have my own revelation and then hear from all the other teachers, their experiences also.
I think also people practically don't know when we say the Rav. I mean, can you just break it down for us, Elisheva? Because people don't know. I mean, people know Karen because Karen's been on our show many times, and Karen is the spiritual director of the Kabbalah Center worldwide and helped open the gates of this wisdom to the world. But also the Rav, how do you define that? Is that how you define Master Kabbalist? Like Rav is like a very high level. It's a high level teacher, like the highest level teacher. And the Rav left the physical world about 7 years ago. So the Rav and Karen both were leading the way for us in the Kabbalah Center and helping us break down this wisdom in the most practical way we can amongst the 100 teachers all around the world. To bring this to millions of people. So they are our source of energy, wisdom, mentorship for the last 2 decades, at least for everybody, 3 decades. It's 3 decades for Chaim. Because I came to Kabbalah 1.
She's a few years.
She was a few years after.
Since 1990.
1990.
Yeah, you're 87.
1987.
Wow. Yeah, I remember I was 16.
You were in your diapers.
I was 16 years old when I came to Chaim Solomon's Kabbalah 1. So
I think actually Chaim was the first Chevra I met too.
Yeah.
First staff member of the Kabbalah Center.
Yeah.
So.
I just want to say that Karen, we all, if you're listening to this podcast right now, if you've been listening, if you've been on Kabbalah.com, if you've read any of the books, if you've had any sort of positive impact in your life, we owe a debt to Karen, because it's Karen that made it all possible. The Rav was a scholar, but the Rav did not have that world vision that Karen had. Is it because of Karen's pushing and doing and risking? Literally, they risked their lives so that we could be here right now, chatting away and sharing this wisdom with you. You know, it's so important to appreciate the source of our blessings. You know, obviously, it's the light of the Creator and whatever name you want to call it, but the channels that it comes through is so important, and it's so relevant to today's topic.
Yeah.
Understanding emotions, right?
Well, that's one of the revelations that came up in these last few weeks. I think it was last Saturday. We got together, a group of us, and we were talking, and one of the someone was reminded of the idea that the whole revelation of the wisdom of Kabbalah, the revelation of the Zohar, came about because of love.
Yes,
Right,
the
there
highest of all emotions.
Right. So the unique contribution I think that Karen brought to the Kabbalah Center was the energy of love and being
Yes.
open-hearted. And I think years ago we were very much focused on, you know, when any sort of negative feeling, negative experience comes up, we would pivot, right? Focus on something else, right? Be busy with helping others, sharing, finding a way to connect to the light, and not necessarily dealing with those emotions, which I think is something a lot of people do, right?
I think that was a little misunderstood, though.
It definitely was.
Yeah.
But I think that this is something that in my work with students, I think comes up a lot, right? When a negative feeling, a bad feeling comes up, the tendency is to check out, to numb, to
First of all,
deny.
can I stop you right there?
Please.
Let's define feeling and emotions.
Go for it.
Okay. So for the purpose, because people get very confused by feelings and emotions. You know, there's different kinds of feelings. In English, you know, the English language is kind of clumsy when it comes to this. There is the feelings that I have a feeling that you're going to be calling me in a minute, you know, like that intuitive feeling. What am I sensing about the environment? What's coming in, and I'm feeling it. I'm receiving it. Emotions is energy in motion. Energy in motion. What do I do in response to my environment? So I think it's important.
Can you give an example?
That's a great question. Let me see. Okay,
It sounded great.
No. Okay, so
Because we want our audience to fully grasp the we're going to first define feeling versus emotion and then give tools
okay,
from there.
feeling an intuitive feeling. Oh, I feel that person's going to call me up and they're going to break up with me. You know, my gut feeling says there's something off about the situation.
What if a person
That's-
feels sad? Is that a feeling?
No, that's a response. That's an emotion.
Okay, so
So
even though I say
sad-
I feel sad, we're saying that's an emotion.
The
Okay.
reason I'm distinguishing that is because, you know, emotions are necessary. There's no such thing as a bad emotion. We make that bad. We give that definition. Anger, sadness, or hurt, or whatever. Why do we, you know, it's uncomfortable to be in the emotion, and maybe for many people it's uncomfortable to witness someone when they're also, their energy is in motion in that direction. And it breaks my heart when I see parents. I saw this, to give you an example. This little girl was crying. She was very sad. Her father meant well. He picked her up. She must have been about 2 or 3. He picked her up and he said, "Don't be sad. Don't cry. Don't be sad. Don't cry." If anyone knows me, you know I'm not going to let that one go.
You interjected yourself.
I sure did. On behalf of that other soul in this world, I said to look at the message you're giving to your daughter. You're saying you're not allowed to. It's not okay to express whatever is showing up. If you look at a baby is just a channel of emotions. You'll see a baby there in the crib, they're going, you know, they like this whole wave, and it's just going through them. We mess ourselves up because we block those emotions from expressing themselves. Where we get ourselves into trouble is we attach now a value about it. Oh, it's not okay to be angry. Not okay to be sad. No, I can be angry. What am I going to do with it? You know, remember with my kids, one in particular, we won't mention names.
In case
Anyway,
you're listening.
in case you're listening, and I don't want you to go to therapy over this. But anyway, so, we used to get him he slipped there. But that's all right, I got three
You
there.
have three boys. It's okay.
I got three
No
boys.
incriminating evidence.
Exactly. Not yet. Anyway, so we used to put a punching bag in the corner, and he'd go and he'd get his anger out. He just had a lot of, from other lifetimes, growing up, whatever triggered him, to give him that space. It's okay. Feel your feelings, feel your emotions, I should say, because if you don't feel your emotions and you're not clear, what's my emotion, I can't be intuitive then. It blocks our intuition.
So I think that you just said something very important. Emotions are sometimes conscious, but also sometimes subconscious.
Mostly subconscious.
I'm saying so
Yeah.
that I think is an important distinction as well. Feelings are the experience, right? I can say I'm lonely or I'm feeling unloved, but the root emotion is probably sadness, and it's just
Yes.
being experienced as the loneliness or the
See,
unworthiness.
I like to look at it, emotions are more, like you were saying, relative to what's going on. So we would call it more reactive. That's why emotions go up and down. Today you feel happy, tomorrow sad, etc. Whereas feelings would be like when you read the stories of the righteous people who felt the soul of people. So a feeling is connecting, it's the light force. And if we all have light force in us, then when they say like Moses was equal to every human being on earth, what does it mean? It means that he felt the soul, the pain, the pleasure of every human being on earth. So that's more connected to the light. The emotions are the things that have tremendous power in them. And what we've learned Kabbalistically is how to turn that power from negative to positive, from destructive to constructive. And that's why, like you were saying, you can't ignore it. And the Rav and Karen always said, we're not made of stone and steel. You have to feel the emotions because that's your power source. It's like crude oil.
But you're not
Crude oil you don't
them.
throw away
All right,
and
so
say,
let-
well, it's not gasoline. You take the crude oil and you refine it into gasoline, and now it empowers the car.
Let me summarize and try to understand. You're saying emotions are coming from us, feelings are coming from from more of an external force. Is that what I'm hearing?
No,
No,
the opposite.
no.
The opposite.
The emotions are related to, she loves me today, I'm happy. Oh, tomorrow she looked at me wrong, now I'm sad. So it's the reactive. It goes with
The
the
response to-
outside environment. The feeling is the consistency. The Creator feels every human being.
Okay, and so what's the practical thing we're telling our audience now? That's nice. What we
Right.
just learned is nice. What are they walking away with? What are we asking them to do to help them connect more to the light force? What do we say?
Not ignore them.
I would say be mindful.
Yeah.
I'm feeling sad. What's that all about for me? Wait a minute. I just reached for a bag of potato chips. Why am I eating a bag of potato chips at 11 o'clock at night? Am I hungry? No. I'm actually trying to numb a feeling. What feeling am I numbing right now? Oh, I'm feeling lonely. Well, what triggered my loneliness? Something in the environment. Somehow I got a trigger. Now it's evidence maybe I'm unworthy. So I'm going to drown myself in a bag of potato chips or whatever it is, because I know when growing up, that was the go-to in my family. Some people was alcohol, other people was drugs or whatever shopping.
Now a lot of people use their phones too.
Now it's the phones, yeah. Anything to numb the feelings. And it's very devastating. It can
Why
really
is that a
hurt you.
problem? So let's say, why should I not numb my feelings? Feels good to numb the feelings. Why are we telling people not to do it?
Go ahead.
Because you lost the opportunity to use it for your benefit. In other words, if you say karma, or we call it tikkun, is our pent-up emotional energy that's been blocked by, put in a shell of anger, fear, jealousy, greed. But once you hold the concept that there's only the light of the Creator, there's no darkness, there's no pain, there's no suffering, etc. in the spiritual world. In our world, we experience it because we've blocked those emotions. And so, like other things where you hold back, people have sore throats when they hold back their words. So they want to express themselves, but they hold it back. So it's that self-centered, as we call it, reactive holding back, or those blockages that cause the pain.
All right, so let's go through practical examples now. Let's say with death, because we experienced a type of death this week. So Kabbalistically, we have like a 7-day mourning period, we have a 30-day mourning period, and we have a 1-year mourning period. Spiritually speaking, can you speak about how to feel the feelings of death? Everybody experiences death.
You mean grief?
Okay, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call
We're
it.
not experiencing the death. We're experiencing the grief of
Right,
loss.
the event of death. The event of death.
Okay.
So we can start from the high level when a person leaves this world, which is probably the most painful, and then we can talk about the death of a relationship, the end of a relationship, death of a business.
The show is about emotions, not death.
Well, we were
But
starting
these
with
are the
emotions,
feelings.
but now I want to get to the practical things because people are experiencing
It's
some of these
okay to
things right now.
grieve. I know.
So
Intellectually,
what are we asking them to do?
Feel your feelings and don't judge yourself for them. That's number one. Feel your feelings. Don't judge yourself for them. What is freedom? Freedom is the ability to not be affected by my environment. That is the ultimate freedom. I'm sad. I'm happy. Whatever the event is that my senses are receiving, right? Those intuitive feelings or whatever's showing up for me. And now I have a choice. How am I going to define that? Now, how I'm going to define that is going to determine if I'm happy or if I'm sad or if I could reach a higher spiritual level of I'm witnessing it. It's not good. It's not bad. It's energy in motion and releasing it. The more you can do that, the better channel you're going to be in your life.
So most people have a negative belief system.
I don't know about most people, but people.
Okay, people have a negative belief system that feeling sad or feeling depressed or feeling angry, that's a bad thing. And it can be confusing because in our Kabbalah 1, we say, you get angry, you get reactive, you want instant gratification. We're asking them to pause.
Right.
So clarify it.
Well, that's the greatest thing, I think, and we have to thank Elisheva and Batya, who came up with that idea of the pause. Because
when did they come up with the idea of the pause?
Thank you for the credit.
No, the way
Wow.
you called it.
I thought it was Moses, but I'll get to it.
No, but something happens and
My
then
cousins.
it's paused. Why is it in my movie? That verbiage is different. The concepts are eternal, but the way it's presented. So for me, what it awakened in me, it made it simpler to understand. So something happens, an event happens, and a person is triggered. Why? Because of their past reactive behavior, building those shells. In order to break down the shell, you have to experience the shell. You have to touch it. So you have to touch that sense of, let's call it anger. Now you pause, right?
What are we asking them to pause?
We're pausing the knee-jerk response. I'm angry, scream and yell, berate the person. Or I feel sad, run away and cry.
So we're pausing, looking for the instant gratification so that we don't numb.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so we can use the energy in a constructive way. So pause. Why is it in my movie? The simplest way I've come to understand it is, what am I feeling? Like, what's the emotion I'm going through? So if I pause and I ask myself, okay, right now my emotion is anger. That's why it's in my movie, because anger blocks the light of the Creator from being expressed as peace, love, harmony, protection, joy, prosperity, happiness, all the things that are of the Creator. It blocks it. So when I can remove that shell, that blockage, then the light automatically shines. The thing that people forget, every human being on earth, the ones you like, the ones you hate, the ones in the middle, everyone has a soul filled with the light of the Creator. It doesn't shine because it's blocked, not because it's not there.
It's blocked by the negativity that they've brought from lifetimes.
Fear, anger, greed, ego, jealousy, insecurity, etc. That's the shell. And you've got to touch the shell. Okay, should I share my experience?
I don't know.
So I had this experience in a deep meditation a few weeks ago, that the shell, I came to find my blockages. And, as I was asking myself, what's it made of? And it was just a steel wall, like a huge steel wall. So I went to go touch it.
This is what you saw in your meditation.
Yes. Feels cold and heavy. And then all of a sudden I saw monitors, like you see in some of these movies where there's, like just walls and walls of monitors. Every one of the experiences in my life were there, where I reacted, is part of that wall. And then I asked the wall, what's the message you have for me? And this is the wall of all the blockages, because the light's shining, it's just not getting out in my life because of this wall. And it simply said, you built me, you can take me down.
Wow, so beautiful.
What drug is this and where can I get it?
Kabbalah.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the Kabbalah drug?
For me, it was just so simple.
Kabbalah.com.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So the pause is, ask myself, what's the emotion I'm going through? That's one of those monitors. That's one of the bricks in the wall. And when you transform it, you take it down. But you've got to, that's why you can't ignore it, because it's your power source.
So I want to make something clear, because we share this in our show every week, that the Kabbalah explains that the purpose of life is, one of the purposes, the way to really describe it is that our soul came to this world to receive what we call the light of the Creator, which is all the fulfillment we're looking for. So anyone right now listening to the show, if you have a blockage in your life, a question that's unanswered, a pain that needs healing, some kind of breakthrough you need, what we're saying is, when you connect your soul to the light of the Creator, then in the physical world, those blockages will be removed.
No. You're already connected.
Yes,
There's
yes.
Nothing. No, that's a big difference. Let me tell you the difference between spirituality or Kabbalah and religion. Religion is, I'm bad. I'm bad, but if I follow these rules, maybe I'll be good, right? So that confirmation is coming from outside of me. Kabbalah is, I'm already good. I'm already have God in me. It's not that I have to go out and get it. To be better or to be suddenly. No, I'm already a channel. I already have everything I need is already inside me right now. Whether you're the king of the world or you're sweeping the streets, it has absolutely no difference what position you're holding in this world. It's all an illusion. Where the soul is playing parts, we already have God. We're already radiating. It's about removing the blockages of radiating the light from each of us. That's why the Zohar is called the Book of Radiance. It's elevating our energy field, our energy in motion. Here we are. We're right back where we started. It's energy in motion. I want to remove the blockages. I can't remove the blockage if I'm judging myself because I'm angry. Not, a good girl doesn't get angry. Boys don't cry, right? You've heard these kinds of ridiculous, horrible things. And the idea here is no. Whatever feelings I have, I'm not going to judge myself for those feelings. Whatever feelings I have, it is what it is. If you want to get out of that black hole of judging ourselves because I hate myself because I hate myself, you know what? I think I'll smoke something and feel better because I can't take myself. I can't take my own inner critic. I want to escape that, and that is a real problem for many people. What I'm saying is, no, let it go. You're already beautiful, already loved. You're already supported. You are already okay. And there's nothing out there that you need that isn't already inside you. It's really a matter of dismantling the blockages, like Chaim said, that steel wall. We built it, and the good news is we have the power, and only we have the power to take it down.
A person doesn't have a soulmate energy in their life, right? Their doubt is this person out there. How statistically I'm beyond.
Well, we have someone that was asking a few minutes ago, how do we transform feelings of loneliness when the person is alone? All the evidence is out there saying they're alone. How do they transform those feelings?
And the environment makes it harder. So what we're saying here is, well, because I'm trying to.
They're not alone.
Because what Batya says, she's bringing it from another direction. So I'm trying to bring it. These are from two different directions. On one hand, we're saying the soulmate. Because look, at the end of the day, let's be practical people. This person wants to be with someone. It's nice if they can feel great, and they'll feel for sure. That part of it is the other half of it. At the end of the day, they're watching the show. They're like, listen, this is phenomenal. How do I meet the person? I want to meet the person. The illusion is it's coming from an external place. Right. So what we're saying, and what you're saying,
I'm saying, got to be the person.
Exactly.
You got to be the person you want to meet.
Right. You're saying you have to reveal something inside of you. It's already inside of you, this energy. You unlock this energy when you remove the blockages. And then in the physical world, it starts to materialize. So the point I wanted to make is we don't want to attack our problems by trying to fix them on a physical level. Right? Only, or primarily, or initially. The physical work will come as well. This show is always about helping people understand there's some kind of metaphysical, spiritual work that needs to be done before we go on the dating app. That's if I can say it that way.
Well, like one of the revelation with the steel wall keeps people out so they can't hurt you. The thing that you also realize is it also keeps you in prison. So here you have this lonely person. They've imprisoned themselves in all the reactive behaviors: fear, anger, insecurity, jealousy, feelings unworthiness, etc. So their mate is on the other side of that wall. They're feeling it already. They have a desire. Why do they have a desire? Because it's already inside. The essence, the spiritual essence is there. If they don't take the wall down, then what are they going to do? They're going to look in all the external ways. Like you say, well, this one will make me happy because they do this, or this one is saying nice things, or this one is buying me gifts, etc. They haven't taken the wall down. So they're still working in that limited environment. Once they start to take the wall down of their own insecurity, their own fears, now, by projecting their light, like attracts like. And so then if they're sending out the energy of love and care for somebody, then somebody's going to find it. It's like those homing beams. It's going to go out there like like a homing beam, and they'll be drawn to it.
The bat signal?
Yes. Okay. I didn't know if I could say that.
Yes, you can say it.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure everyone got the visual.
And that's it. We are always calling, right? Our feelings and emotions are calling things to us. Now, the issue is, and that for me was the beauty of pause, why is it in my movie? Because once I'm triggered And I have the capability through work and effort to be able to pause. Like you're saying, stop the instant gratification behavior, stop that immediate knee-jerk response. Then I can take the moment to ask myself, what's my emotion? That's why it's here.
Can we develop out this, where we talked about the first 2 steps or the first 1 step of the proactive formula? I before we move on, I really want people to grasp this power of what we're saying and that they have some way of manifesting it. We're saying a challenge occurs based on our past lives, the tikkun, the correction that we brought. So a challenge will occur according to that. We're going to feel reactive. We're saying step 1 is pause, right? And we're kind of putting a twist to it, something that maybe we're not saying in Kabbalah
Step
1.
one is identifying your activity. Step 2
Well, no,
is
that's the
pause.
you can't do
pause
that.
in order
Pause,
to
and then you
identify
ask,
it.
why is it my movie?
Right. So
Right.
you're
Which
pausing.
is what's my emotion.
So you're identifying the reactive behavior. So the pause is to help us understand has nothing to do with what's going on outside of us.
Nope.
That's the hardest part. Because immediately we
Yes.
want to blame someone.
Right.
And we want to say it's because of something. Right? I'm scrolling through my feed. I'm reading something that's upsetting me. I'm watching TV. I'm seeing
Sometimes we
something
even
that's
go to
upsetting
blame
me.
ourselves,
Sure.
right?
Yeah,
It's
more
because of
than
mistakes
anybody.
I
Absolutely.
made. It's because
Absolutely.
I'm so incapable
Right.
or whatever.
Absolutely.
Something triggers it.
Sure. I talked to somebody that they got an email, like a legal thing that said it's like cease and desist. I don't know what, one of these scary emails that lawyers send out. And all of a sudden they're beating themselves up for something that they did wrong, or they're upset with the lawyer. They're upset with so many people, when in reality it has nothing to do with any of those things, right? So we're saying pause. We're saying identify the reactive behavior. Then what are we saying?
Well, once you realize what the emotion is, then you realize that's your blockage, that's your steel wall, and as you'll take it down, the only way
It's
to
not
take
the
it,
lawsuit. There's a
it's not
giant
the
lawsuit in front of me. It's going to drain me of my money
Right.
and my time.
reactive behavior is the comfortable give me, I want now. So then the only way to transform that is by the consciousness, and it has to be conscious. The conscious thought of taking a beam of light and sending it out through that wall towards that other person, whatever the opposite is. And again, it doesn't matter about the person. The person was the messenger to bring me the awareness of my wall, and they're going to be the messenger to take back to the upper world, so to speak, my transformation. So let's say this gentleman or this person you're talking about, they start to feel angry. Now they start to feel upset. They want to blame and this. Pause. What are they feeling? Anger out of something of their past, etc. Now, just first, if nothing else, start thinking, I'm sending a beam of light to the lawyers that sent me this or the person behind it or whatever, because what does it do? It starts to open up the channel. You can't get water out of a sink if you don't open the faucet. The water's already there. So once you start to send light, now can come the revelation, right, from your higher soul. What do? What do you say, et cetera, et cetera. But you're already breaking down the wall. You're already feeling better. The universe is already bringing you all kinds of blessings.
And we're not just saying this just so you can feel better about yourself.
No.
We're saying,
Right.
Because when you're sending light to the other person, you're also awakening the light in them. What's their wall? Maybe they were angry that this person did something to them. So now they got cease and desist. Now they're just reacting. So if you send light to that person, knowing there's light in their soul, you wake up the light in them.
Can I point something out real quick? To the person that was saying that she feels lonely, we've had a bunch of different comments about different repetitive situations, repetitive emotional or emotional states, let's say. I think a lot of that comes from when the feeling comes up, either we, like we said before, we numb it, we push it away, we escape, we find another way, or we retaliate, right? That's another
Or we
thing.
disconnect completely.
But this I think is one of the key elements to dealing and releasing whatever that repetitive, dealing with and releasing whatever the repetitive thing is the embracing. You
Exactly.
can't
Embrace it.
release that which you don't embrace. And that to me, I even look at the visual, you have to hug the loneliness in order to set it free.
Right.
And the tendency to, and I think that if all of us could be mindful of that this week, the tendency when any sort of negative feeling comes up to, the fight or flight, right? Either it's not, I'm frozen.
Why do you call it a negative feeling? What negative feeling? What do you mean by that?
Well, when somebody gets happy, they usually don't
That's
run or
positive
deny.
feeling.
I'm saying the
Sometimes
bad, what do you want me
Can
to
I-
call it?
No, I'm just saying.
There is a distinguishment
because
between the ones we want to sit in and the ones we want to run from.
But is there not also a reactive happiness?
Absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely. That
But if somebody's happy at someone else's demise, I mean, that's not a positive.
for sure. But not only that, I think that the goal is not to be immune to what goes on around
Right.
us, right? It's not
Absolutely.
somebody's happy we're apathetic and somebody's sad, we're,
Right.
I don't know, blind to it. It's more that my metric system, my inner compass, isn't constantly bouncing back and forth because of what's going on around me.
That's where mindfulness comes in. Oh, I see that I'm jealous of that person. I'm angry about something. I'm feeling frightened. What's that all about? Oh, I'm afraid they're not going to like me. You know, it's really about establishing a relationship with yourself first. You know, this is the other thing. I think a lot of people mistake. We use words like sending light. It's very intellectual. You know, the path of life is really the path of the heart. Yeah, not you need the head for balance, for awareness. But the greatest life is a life lived in that state of awe, that state of love. And in order to get there, there's no shortcuts. We've got to go through this process of self-acceptance, of embracing. Right now, I am lonely. I'm being self-absorbed with my loneliness. You know what? That's okay. I got it. Now what are my choices? I embrace it. I accept it. It is what it is. What's my next level? Hey, how about if I focus on other people? What can I do for someone else? What can I do to be of service, to add value to other people? Yeah, you know, that's the way out of that dark place.
But you can't get out if you don't first embrace it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you.
All right. So the takeaway so far for our listeners is feeling the pain, embracing the pain is a very valuable thing that it's very easy to rush through.
And it's not good and it's not bad. It is what it is.
All right. And what's the difference between restriction or pausing and suppression, right? Because this
Excellent
is
question.
so
Excellent question.
this is something else that people are going to run into, right? Okay, so I'm not going to run to my instant gratification, my old patterns of taking energy. We all have them. We all know what they are. If you can just think of one right now, what's your old pattern of instant gratification? Everyone's got something that they do when they feel uncomfortable. So we're saying, no, we're going to pause. How do I avoid suppressing my emotions versus feeling them? It's a very fine line.
Well, it's not so much a feeling. They felt it. They paused. They started to realize. They started to accept their emotion.
Okay.
So how do you, suppression would be then, I feel that I paused. I realize it's my fear, my anger, my jealousy, whatever it is. That's what it's here for. If I do nothing about it, that's suppression. So it's like I used to use the metaphor, you know, you're sitting and you're reading a book and somebody comes in and shuts the light off, right? So the first thing you want to do is be angry. You're starting to have that emotion of anger. Now you say to yourself, pause. I'm going to restrict. I'm not going to be angry, etc., and I'm just going to sit there. So you can keep sitting there, which is suppression, sitting in the darkness. That's suppression. When you get up and you turn the light on, right, meaning you're revealing the light, which is love. Once you're revealing that, now the light goes on. You can go back to reading the book.
How do I not become resentful at the person who's turned off the light for the sixth time?
Well, that's the pause. You might be resentful and angry at the same time.
Right.
Once you start shining light, sending light. If you want to say I've got to be loving, is light. Light and love, in its highest level, are the same. The Creator loves us, it says, and our job is to love the Creator, which means light. We have to emanate the light, emulate the light, etc. So once we're consciously sending a beam of light from my heart and soul out through that wall to that other person and through them to the world, love is automatic because love is unity. Right? Echad and ahava. It's oneness. It's oneness. As I do that, then I can't get anything on the other side of that wall if I don't start breaking that wall. So how do I get something from my higher self, my true, pure light being, if I haven't started the flow by sending light in the place of darkness? Because how'd the wall come? Receiving. Give me. Give me instant gratification. I have to scream and yell. I have to be sad. I have to bite and fight. I have to be greedy, etc. Instant gratification. That wall will not come down unless I'm doing the opposite, turning on the light.
Right.
So I have to consciously, it can't be after the fact, I have to consciously send that beam of light out.
All right.
That's the
I have an answer
restriction.
too, but I want to hear what you guys were about to say something.
No, I have a question. When you're done talking, I'll ask.
Okay.
Batya, did you want to add to that?
I'm going to say restriction is different for everyone. Everyone has got their own starting gate, and everyone's point of restriction is going to look different. So if you're looking for what's the black and white, write it down. If I'm doing this, it's restricting.
Just
If
say
I'm
no
not
to
doing-
everybody. That's restriction.
I'm just saying it's going to be different for
That is
everyone.
not
You
restriction,
need-
just to clarify. It's not,
No,
it's not
no.
restriction just to say no to everybody.
Exactly.
It's a Kabbalah teacher joke. Sorry.
Okay. point I wanted to say.
Well, now I have a question, and
Yes.
it's
I wanted to add to that, but yes, go.
no. So add to it because it
It's
might
just
make
one
us
final
change-
point about
Go
this.
for it
before-
because we'll change subjects if I ask my question.
Okay, fine. So I just wanted to make something clear because we run into it so much in the beginning of Kabbalah 1. People are so excited to learn these tools, and they're learning about pause and restriction, something that you've rarely done in your whole life. And the way I define the difference between suppression and restriction is suppression is when you do something and you don't know what you're receiving from it. Because at the end of the day, everything that we do, and this is kind of the language we use on the show, is if you do this, there's a benefit. And I talk that way because that's how people listen. People don't want to just do things because they're being told to do it. There has to be a benefit. That's at the end of the
Absolutely,
day.
human
At the end of the
nature.
day, I want to appeal to people's desire to receive. What I'm saying, and what the wisdom is saying, obviously, is that how do we get the most? How do we receive the most? So when you pause, when someone gets you upset or something upsetting happens, and you pause, and you know, because Kabbalah has taught you this, that you now have affinity with the light of the Creator, and you're now receiving light in your bank account. You're not going to feel anything differently. You're not going to see anything. You're not going to see a giant miracle appear for you. But what we're saying is fill your bank account with the light, which eventually will be cashed in later on down the road as blessings in its own time, in its own way. You can't control that. But we're going to fill our bank with light. When you know that that bank is filling with energy, there's a joy there. There's actually an excitement of going through the challenge, as opposed to, oh, Kabbalah told me to pause. Everybody told me to pause. Okay, I'm going to feel my anger. But I'm still upset that you caused this to me in the first place. The fact that I can feel good about it because I'm going through my emotions and feeling pain, all right, that's one thing. But what's the benefit? Do I get something out of this? It's like the story with the guy who got beat up and got the gold coins. I don't want to go through the whole story again, but
That story comes up for me in one way or another.
but he's excited because he
week.
got the gold coins.
Yes.
He's not
The
excited
issue
because he
is-
was a spiritual person.
But the issue is we're learning how to see the gold coins before they
Can
show
we
up.
tell the story
Exactly.
for our
That's the
listeners,
thing.
please? We know the story. They don't.
Tell the story, the short version of it. You know?
The short version of the story is the king needs to go somewhere, so he asks his friend to take over for him.
Take over the kingdom
Take over the
temporarily.
kingdom temporarily. So
Servant.
the king's advisors don't like him, and they punish him, and
They beat him up every day.
they beat him up every day.
He goes
so
home
the,
crying.
The king comes back and finds out what happened, and he said, "For every day that they beat you, I'm going to give you 1,000 gold coins." So then he comes home to his wife crying with the 5,000 gold coins, and she says, "What's wrong?" And he said, "I wish that they beat me longer." So the metaphor is
It was a very short version of the
very
story.
short version of the story. The metaphor is if we saw how much our struggles and our challenges brought us,
Yeah.
we would beg for more.
Right.
But because we don't see them, did the friend getting beaten up realize he was going to get gold coins? If he had, he would have said, give me more.
Which goes into this week's energy, as you were about
Right.
to say, seeing.
Right. Well, the Karen was actually on the show last year, if I'm not mistaken, and one of the things that Karen was emphasizing was, maybe it was 2 years ago, was when a challenge comes up for you, recognize that it's happening for me. We look at things as though they're happening to me. The shift, when we realize that this challenging situation, the person has turned off the light in the room for the 6th time. The first 5 times I didn't understand it was for me. Now I understand it's for me. Then I can come from a different place. And the question I was going to ask you guys after hearing your conversation, I'm wondering if my personal methodology might be flawed somehow. I heard from somebody somewhere on down the line that when I'm feeling upset or bad about something, it's because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to with it, which is another way of kind of saying what you were saying before, right? If it's happening for me, then it's not supposed to be bringing me down. There's a step up here for me. I just have to identify where is the step up. And it may be that the person who's been turning off the light, poor them, they were raised that in order to get attention, they have to turn the light off. Or poor them, the only way they're going to get love is if they turn the light off. Or poor them, the only way they see how powerful they are is if they turn the light off. And it's not happening to me, it's happening for me so that I will teach them compassion.
Beautiful.
Or so I will help them understand there are other ways to, and it might not even be, it might just be for me to stop judging them, right? To stand in their shoes for a moment and realize how they're driven by pain and not a desire to put me in the darkness.
That goes back to for the way I look at the feeling. In other words, you feel the pain of that person's soul being trapped in that steel wall, and therefore they had to, like you said, they had to turn the light off for whatever their instant gratification is. But as we now have in Kabbalah 1, the rule is, right, my life is a perfect plan to help me with my tikkun. The tool is, why is it in my movie? So exactly what you were saying, if life is happening for me to give me an opportunity to break that wall, let my light shine, and therefore let the universe bring me back. That's the other part. People want to already tell the universe what to do. They want to make the creator their servant instead of saying, no, I'm going to shine the light. And then whatever has to come to me, the second rule is life is a perfect plan to help me. So it'll give me good things as well as the awareness of the wall.
And a lot of people look at that scenario, I mean, what we just shared as, how do I know if I did the right thing, right? Like, the person, I figured out another way to respond to the person turning off the light. How do I know I picked the right one? There is no right and wrong. As long as you are choosing a better response, a better response relative to you. Before you were getting angry, now you're at peace. That's already a better response, already revealing more light, already banking more coins than the getting angry was. And so to not look at it as I won or I lost, I passed or I failed, but I'm getting closer to, as you guys were saying, letting that light shine, letting that love shine.
And I'm thinking maybe Chaim Batya can chime in on, when in my younger years when I was starting to take Kabbalah 1, 2, and 3, and then I also used to get these cassettes of the very deep classes of Rav Berg's
Audio cassettes.
I remember that's what they were, early 2000, of what's called the 10 luminous emanations, which people who want to learn deeper Kabbalah, this is like the raw, these are the raw files. These are the raw data files that we take and, chop it down and make it practical.
And you know that we're working on digitizing it and making those
public.
public.
Original tapes. Yeah,
Yes.
I heard that we're doing that. Michael Berg, the Rav's son, also gave probably even more down to earth versions of these classes. There's 100 of them. There probably should be on Kabbalah.com. So those of you who are members, and you can sign up to be a member for free initially, so you can listen to that deeper content if you want. It's called TLE, 10 Luminous Emanations. Anyways, I used to listen to these classes. I didn't really understand much of them. They were very high, way over my head. But there was an example that the Rav would give that it always bothered me because he never finished the example. But only until I started teaching Kabbalah 1 did I realize what was happening here. And I'm sure it's going to jog your memory. The Rav would say, the bank would call you. This is the example he gave. The bank would call you and say, you owe us $500 billion, and you're going to default on your payment. So we're going to take everything away from you. We're going to take your kids away from you, your house away from you. And if a person got a phone call like that all of a sudden they owe all this money and they're going to lose everything. The normal reaction would be that this guy would freak out. He'd be like, oh my God, please don't take things away from me. I'm going to figure it out, whatever. Now, people get reactive. And we all have our way that we would get reactive to that phone call. So the Rav would say that what you should do if the bank calls you and says that, you say, there's a couple of versions of this, but was like amazing, this is wonderful. Is it only 500 billion? I was hoping it'd be $1 trillion. And he would give these numbers just to show that it's not about the number, right? It's about the scenario. And the Rav would always end the lesson that way. That you should. Oh, go ahead.
No, I like the one where the Rav would say,
"You owe me."
Exactly. Where the Rav would say, "What? I owe you 500 million? No, I have more than 500 million in that checking account right now. Why aren't you seeing that?"
Even though the guy knows he has nothing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And then that's when the story would end.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so what's the lesson here? So it's a nice joke, it's a nice story, but the person still owes 500 billion and he's going to lose everything tomorrow. And then I learned the powerful lesson of it was, the Rav was trying to teach us that as long as you don't get reactive and you get excited, right? Because that's what we're saying. Acceptance, how do you know you're accepting something is you're excited about it? If you're excited about the pain, the light that's revealed at that moment has already solved the problem. Now, how that's going to happen physically the next 1 or 2 days, the Rav didn't even bother with. He said that your problem will be solved. The bank will be paid. Now, from where, from how, whatever, Kabbalah doesn't want to deal with that. Kabbalah just wants to teach you how to access the energy.
Because it's not up to us.
Exactly.
The creator is called the creator for a reason. Our job is to feed the energy, and then the creator creates. Why do our challenges come to us? Did we create that? Did we ask the guy to come to me and say, hey, tell me I'm no good, or, tell me I owe them, or whatever it was that triggered them? No, my soul may have. I didn't ask them. The universe set it up. My soul in unity with the light of the Creator brought it to me. So why do we think we can control things the other way?
That's beautiful.
Right?
That's beautiful.
The Rav used to say, one of the original multi-billion-dollar companies, years and years to build it, and in one day they lost like $20 billion or something. He says, why? Everybody suddenly became stupid, right? If they could build it up. No, we don't know. The universe, we have to partner with the universe, let it create. That's why it's cause and effect. We'll manifest the energy by taking the walls down, let the light shine, and let the universe create from that.
We have about 2 minutes left.
We're going to have part 2 of this
Next week. We will continue. Actually, it's less of a continuation and more of a different
I have
angle.
some good stuff. I have stuff we didn't even talk about.
Okay,
It's
so
very good
we
stuff.
will
for
get
next week.
there. Let's give our listeners something practical to do this week to capture the opportunity of being able to use our emotions in a different way.
Each person. Go, Chaim. Start for you in the end of the table.
Well, for me, one of the things that has always helped me, and if I can give a plug for it, on Spiritual Sunday, we have a
You're still
saying.
doing that?
Yes. I am a pure and perfect being of light, meaning I have to first remember I have light in me and they have light in them. If I realize that, then it's not about what can I get from them. That's what my opponent in my head is telling me. What can I get from them? How can I blame them? How can I make them give me back the energy I think they took from me? So the idea of the pause, once I pause, that's my only free will. Have no free will without the pause. Then we're just robots of that opponent or, the adversary.
So your suggestion is to pause as many times as possible
Absolutely.
this week.
And then ask, what's my emotion? Because then I know what my raw material to transform into light
And the
is.
tool he added is sending light to the person.
Yes.
And
Consciously, you have to beam that light out.
beautiful.
It starts to flow.
Batya.
Something, something practical.
And we're not saying you need to do all 4 of our recommendations. You may
Just
find that you
a practical
resonate most
takeaway.
with one.
Yes.
Something very practical is meditation, mindfulness. You don't have to twist yourself into a pretzel, and drill your eyeballs into your forehead. No, it's about mindfulness. What's happening right now? First of all, I'm going to open a can of worms here, but
a small can because we got to
very
go.
small. Everything around us is potential energy. We make reality by combining our thoughts with emotion, and that forms matter. I know we'll talk about that more another time. However, so by taking responsibility that, emotion showed up, it's feedback for me. Do I want to continue with that emotion? Or do I just want to express it, let it go, drop it, like drop the mic and just walk on? Oh, I'm feeling angry. Okay, I got that. Now, what can I do to add value to someone else's life? What can I do to rise above it, to elevate my resonance of energy, let's say, so that I can improve the quality not only in my life, but in the life of everyone else, because we're all in this together.
Beautiful. Elisheva.
We're really running over now. That's fun. My go-to is to talk to the emotion. Like a friend, though, not an enemy.
Right.
Hi, loneliness. What are you here to teach me? How can I grow from your presence in my life? What good can come of our time together? And I've seen
like
that
that.
when you personify it in a way, you give it a face, a name, a feeling, right? And again, we're talking about something I can interact with. It's not happening to me. It's in my life for a reason. And in a way, that's the process of blessing it, right? It's there for my good. Let's work it out. Help me see how you can help me. And that to me is a form of meditation. It's really like a deep, nobody can see it. Nobody can hear it. It's a moment between you and your inner world.
Right.
And it is very freeing and peace-inducing.
It's interesting how
David?
each person takes it according to their personality, but it's all accurate. For me, I what grabbed me about Kabbalah is the opportunity. So opportunistic. We
You're
use
an
that
opportunist.
I'm an opportunist. I am. So I want to
We all
use
know
it for
that
good.
about you, yeah.
Yes, I want to use that for good. If I
Right.
didn't have Kabbalah, I'd be doing bad things today. So opportunity for me when something challenging or painful happens, I first want to capture those initial 7 seconds. I heard those 7 seconds are essential. And what I like to do is I get excited and I move my body in a like something exciting happened type of motion. I'll even dance around the room without music and just chant yes, yes, like 1,000 times. Like you just hit a jackpot. And that's what I do initially, just to change my physical energy. And then I'll go do what Chaim said, which is try to understand, all right, what's the message the Creator's trying to give me? Why is this happening to me? What can I transform? Because I need to shift something in myself so that the light can be revealed inside me. And then the external will start to soften up and the miracles will start to happen. So that's my go-to of how to utilize the practice formula.
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
listening today. Thank you, Batya and Chaim,
Thank
for
you for
joining
having
us.
us,
Thanks for having
for
us.
sharing your beautiful pearls of wisdom. Like, share, comment. We'll continue to look at what you're writing as the week progresses. And next week, we will continue the conversation on how our inner world impacts our outer world. Have a fabulous 7 days, and we'll see you next time on the Weekly Energy Boost.